Welcome to On Ice, the show about the show 20 years later. Today, we're talking about Lost Season 6, Episodes 10 and 11. I'm Will. Also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast right here on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Ben, I gotta say, I am excited to talk about the show this week. And I can't tell you for a very particular reason. I wasn't necessarily super high on these episodes, but I'm very eager to chat with you about Lost.
Oh, interesting. I am eager too, but I can tell you why. It's because there was a Desmond episode, and I think Desmond's the best character in the show.
Wow.
Just to give it, just to drop a big one.
That is a big one. Yeah. I mean, I love Desmond. I love Harry Ian Cusick. I think he does Henry Ian Cusick. Yeah. Does a great job. So we do get a Desmond episode. We also get a Sun and Jin episode. We return to some main characters who haven't gotten a lot of attention in a long time. Those three aforementioned folks. Last week we did mention how Sun and Jin's story needs to maybe hit pretty hard to justify how much it has languished as of late. Mm. And we will evaluate how successfully they pull it off later in the episode. And after last week's Ab Eterno, which was kind of a departure from the normal formula, the show probably feels the need to serve up some more conventionally structured episodes. It's kind of my general feeling, especially about this first episode, The Package. Should we just get into it?
Yeah, I guess get into it. Yeah, there's a ton here. Jump right in. I think
there is a ton here. So it's season 6, episode 10, called The Package. This aired March 30th, 2010. It was directed by Paul Edwards and written by Paul Zbyszewski and Graham Rowland. So we have a 2004 Flash Sideways timeline that we're going to talk about first. At the airport, LAX, after the landing of Oceanic Flight 815, Jin-Soo Kwon is released by security after the incident about his undeclared $25,000 in cash is resolved. That being, they just
they took the cash,
kept it.
Sir, you're free to go.
We're gonna call that civil asset forfeiture, I believe, right? Isn't that what that is?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. They just
be taken.
I think it doesn't happen like that in practice. Probably shouldn't joke about this right now, but I've never been detained. Have you ever been detained at the airport?
I've just been pulled aside for like a individual screening, not like a
re-entering the US or just regular TSA?
No, regular TSA. But it was like before a gate. It was like, it wasn't like, it was after security and before. I was just hanging out at the gate and they like came over to me and they're like, hey, you've been selected for a random pat down.
Nice. Did they have the dog there? I feel like that's how they do it a lot. Yeah. I was waiting for Shelly a long time recently, and the dog, there was like nobody else at the airport except for me, the dog, and the dog guy, and the dog guy just kept coming by me, and he's like, sorry, we got to do it. But they did it.
Oh, they kept checking you out?
5 times, yeah. I mean, I think he meant like, my job is to just keep moving, and you're the only person in the airport to investigate, so we're in a little
funny
loophole right here where I got to just keep investigating you. So the dog just kept...
That's so good.
They just like walked in like a big circle, and then the dog would just walk by and just sniff me again, and then another big circle and sniff me again.
Okay, so it wasn't too like empty your pockets like every 2.5 minutes.
No. I'm just sitting there listening to a podcast, and the dog just walks by and sniffs me for 4 seconds every 90 seconds or so, you know? Small airport. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But your point is that civil asset forfeiture doesn't happen. It's not a big problem in the U.S.
I don't know. I was worried that they were going to steal my records. Shelly knows that when I come back into the U.S., I'm like, I got to declare everything, which is the law, folks. You're supposed to declare it all. You're supposed to declare if you got a candy bar or something like that. Everybody gets pissed at me for some reason because I'm the guy who's declaring the candy bar. But I told the lady recently.
I'm not messing around with that, man.
She's like, do you have anything to declare? And I just said, I have like 9 LPs worth exactly this amount of money, including the cents. And she was like, okay, sounds good. And then she's like, hold, LP? What is that? And then I was like freaking out in my mind, like, I got to think how to describe what an LP is. And the obvious word is a record. But the first word, which I didn't say out loud, but the first word that popped into my mind was licorice pizza.
No.
As if that would make
Jesus.
it more clear.
You dig?
But I told her,
comes the rockabilly asshole.
I told her, I did not say it out loud, but that's the first word that popped into my mind, frantically scrambling for a word. And then I said records, and then I made a circle shape with my arms about twice the size of a real record.
We're going to call it, I got the old 60-inch.
Yeah. I did it with 2 hands. I'm doing it only with 1 hand for the recording, but I did it with 2 hands too, like hula hoop size, like.
Nice.
Record. She said, well, Mr. Ben, enjoy your records and welcome back to America. Thank you.
I just retrieved my records. I think we were talking about that recently. That was a mission. I secured them. It was the wrong Cloud Nothings LP that I told you about. It's actually
okay.
Now I forget. It's the other one. Here or Nowhere Else.
Here or Nowhere, the next one. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so we understand what it was like for
what it's like to be
a Korean man of the 90s or 2000s to be
2004.
Stopped. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped by
Did
US
you see
security.
Rebel Ridge?
No.
Came out in the last couple of years. Okay, it's a very good movie on Netflix. But it's about civil asset forfeiture. Kind of like a thriller based on civil asset forfeiture.
You're tenting your fingers, and I can't take the. I know it's a phrase.
I'm trying,
but because you're tenting your fingers and you keep saying civil asset forfeiture, I'm imagining you as like a really serious libertarian dude that
they can't do that.
AKA taxes, AKA civil asset forfeiture, AKA theft.
I'm doing the libertarian hand sign because it's basically like a pyramid eye type thing.
Yeah.
That's not my intent. I just look like what I look like. I look like a libertarian, I guess. I am cultivating. I am going for. I told my hairdresser Miami Vice. I'm going for Miami Vice, and she's like, "Oh, Uncle Baby Billy." I'm like,
yeah, no disrespect, but you used the word rockabilly earlier, and that might be higher on the list for me than Miami Vice, but
someday I'll get to Miami Vice. You know, Colin Farrell had long hair.
Sure.
I'm trying to get to that point. Okay. Where were we? Okay, yes.
Still at
we
the
are
airport.
One sentence into the summary. Jin is released by security after the incident about his undeclared $25,000 in cash is resolved. His watch is returned, but the money is not, as Jin needs to fill out the paperwork declaring its purpose. Which, then do that.
To spend.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's money.
I'm going to hit the vending machines hard. Let me adjust my my green screen really quick here. I'm realizing this is fuzzies for people, so I'm really sorry if people are seeing this and they're like, ah, dang, guy's fuzzy. Okay. Having missed his appointment at the restaurant, Jin checks into a hotel with Sun. In this timeline, Jin and Sun are not married. Instead, they've become secretly romantically involved. So they aren't wearing wedding bands. They have reserved 2 separate rooms.
Jin
and then
insists
later,
on. Yeah.
they insist on it. And later on, Jin comes to Sun's room to tell her about something, and she's like, I don't want to have this conversation in the hallway. Why don't you come in? And so he comes in, and then she seduces her bodyguard.
Yeah. Well, she teases him, unbuttons the top button. Are you going to tell me to button it up? And then they do that for the next 8 buttons all the way down. Are you going to tell me to button this one up? Are you going to tell me to button this one up?
What's the joke that, like, in this episode the writers barely disguised fetish, but I think we see like the various seduction scenes in Lost. I remember the Saeed secret agent one where it's like, what if there was a really long boot and it takes a long time to unzip? And now we see like, what if we take a really long time to unbutton all of these buttons? What if there are a lot of buttons? What if clothes were fastened in a really like intricate way? That's what's going on in the psyches of the Lost writers. And I don't want to just be focusing on Sun here. We have to talk about how Jin is spending this entire episode aura farming. He's distractingly jacked. He's always hitting poses. He's been hitting the gymnasium. Like, and he's been a babe for a while, but like I feel like he's like especially cut this season.
Sure. That's what aura farming means?
Well, you can aura farm without necessarily being jacked, but he was doing both.
Well, but I mean, the general idea is you're just looking good.
Looking good, being cool.
They call that aura farming?
That's what he's doing.
That is some passive income farming. I don't respect that.
You don't want to work for your aura. You want your aura to work for you, dude.
Any kind of aura I'm putting off, I want people to know I worked for it.
Okay.
It might not be a good one, but I worked it. I worked for it.
Can we focus on Daniel Day Kim's physicality, his physique? So this is 2010. I mean, okay, so he's been the most jacked of anyone on the show since the beginning, right? Like of the main characters for sure, except maybe Evangeline Lilly. Like she's looking real strong too, but like of the men, I feel like Jin was the most like. Where I'm going with this, there's the superhero physique that blew up around this time, like 2010s onwards, like
sure.
Like the superhero stuff, and then there's these like insane body standards that like started developing kind of along the line, along the run of Lost, and then ever since, you know, they're putting Kumail Nanjiani on steroids, for example, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think Jin, like now everyone on TV looks like Jin, or like has like those kind of muscles, really. But like I think he was like pioneering the field of like.
Did Daniel Day Kim ever?
He's an aura pioneer. Did
he ever become a superhero?
I don't know. I think he's mostly TV.
Well, they got superheroes on TV nowadays too. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not really up on that. I'm just in it for the bods.
Sure.
But what is my point with it? Maybe he influenced. They're like, oh dang, you can be that jacked on TV and on the screen. Like, let's make all of our superheroes like that. Something to think about.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I guess I miss the days when not everybody looked like that, and it's still fun that like there's like one guy who looks like that, and everyone else gets kind of more normal looking. I don't even that's not true. It's like I miss the days when like the early 2000s had healthy body image examples. That's not in pop culture. Obviously that's insane, but yeah, whatever.
Well, I like your idea that everybody's getting jacked because then that'll be my time to shine with these not jacked arms
like,
and body of mine. Ooh, that guy's sticking out.
Who's that unique looking fellow over there?
Yeah, exactly.
With the computer posture. All right. Oh, yep. Boy's got a slump. Yeah.
Hey, you're saying I've got a slump?
I'm not saying. Well, I don't want to be. I don't want to like actually. I just picked posture as like a relatively inoffensive thing to be saying it with somebody's body. But
okay.
Check out the guy with the fucked up nose. How about that? You can say that because Ben doesn't have a fucked up nose. All right. The next day, Martin Keamy, his associate Omar, and translator Mikhail arrive at the hotel to collect the watch and the money. You dropped a bomb on us earlier and said that Desmond is your favorite character in Lost. Yep. I would say that Kevin Durand is probably my favorite tertiary actor. Kind of a less impactful explosion, but it's always fun to see what that big Canadian does with the screen. I enjoy him.
Okay.
And it's fun to see Mikhail again, I think.
Yeah.
If you were remember that guy?
What would that guy be doing? What would that guy be doing if he wasn't a freaky dude, rugged man of the island? Well, he'd be a translator.
Freaky in every timeline, though.
Sure.
And doesn't have the eye patch. Doesn't have the eye patch in this timeline.
Doesn't. That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. Since Sun and Jin lack the money, Sun offers to pay them from a private account. Keamy sends her with Mikhail to get the money, but they learn that the account was closed by Mr. Pike, Sun's father. Meanwhile, Jin is tied up in the storeroom at the restaurant. Keamy reveals that $25,000 was his payment for killing Jin because Mr. Pike found out about his relationship with Sun. Oh, shit.
I think it's Pack, by the way. I was wondering where that came from. Yeah.
Pack. It's Paik.
Yeah.
And it's Pack. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So he got sent overseas with the fee to take him out.
He did. Hate it when that happens. Classic.
These LPs.
Classic guy in a movie.
What are you going to do with these LPs? I'm going to give them to a guy to kill me.
Getting there. Yeah. Good bad guy move, though. Smart little bad guy move. You're feeling good when you send off the guy.
Yeah, on one last errand, some long haul flight.
Hey, could you
do that?
By the way, you're going to meet a guy. Could you give this to him? The guy walks in.
Gonna kill ya.
Guy walks out the door and you're, ooh, I'm a sly little guy. I'm a sly little.
Yeah, sneaky. Yeah, is it Keamy who said it was like, you broke the cardinal rule, don't sleep with the boss's daughter. Like, is everyone was talking about that in the organization, the crime org was thinking about sleeping with Sun?
Well, I think I think he's saying it in the generic sense.
General, gotcha.
The general sense, fair. Don't sleep with your boss's daughter.
We do things a little bit differently in this crime org. Over here, you're actually gonna not sleep with the boss's daughter. Gotta not.
Yeah. What? But yeah. What are the crime families where that goes well for you?
Mm-hmm.
The Godfather finds out.
Hey, this is actually fine.
Sleeping with my daughter. Whoa. A little egg on my face about that. I guess you're part of the family now. You got one over on me.
Probably not worth the risk. I can't think of any off the top of my head where that turns out all right. So after shooting Keamy and his men, Saeed is there. We saw most of this in Saeed's episode earlier, but he finds Jin tied up in the freezer. He hands Jin a box cutter to free himself and leaves. Remember, during all this, Jin doesn't speak English in this timeline, or doesn't understand it.
Yep.
And so like there's this I don't know, sequence where like Kimi's like tying him up and he's like, I'm telling you all this and you don't even understand me, do you? Well, I was paid to kill you. And so Saeed. Oh, you know it's weird? Both episodes this week that we're talking about have people tied to chairs.
Interesting. Should have called the show Chairs instead.
Chair tied to the show.
Chairs
ABC stands for it's always be chairs.
Yeah. Chairtown.
Very good. Saeed hands Jin a box cutter to free himself and leaves. When Mikhail returns with Sun from the bank, Jin holds him at gunpoint. Mikhail fights back, and in the ensuing struggle, Jin shoots him dead, as well as everyone else in the org. Well, maybe not everyone, because Kimi still seems to be alive. He's like a croaking, crawling around.
Well, he'd still be shot. He's still shot.
He was shot. That's true.
Deceased yet.
Yeah. Sun, though, is hit by stray fire. As Jin picks Sun up to take her to the hospital, she reveals that she's pregnant. Whoa. 2007. The original timeline. On the beach, Ilana is waiting for Richard Alpert to return, confident that he will know what to do. Meanwhile, Sun, upset by Ilana's inability to find Jin, storms off to her garden. There, she is greeted by the man in black, aka Boschlock, who offers to take her to Jin. Unwilling to trust him, she runs for the beach, knocking herself out against a tree branch on the way. And this head injury leaves her unable to speak English, though she is still able to understand it. And this is very like Gilligan's Island-ass conceit, I think, for a TV episode.
Yeah, the language thing. I think it is. I think it has happened, though, right? I think it's a real life thing.
People who get like a brain injury and then like start speaking in a wild accent type thing.
Yeah. Okay. Or forgetting how to speak for a while. I don't know. But yeah, I think so.
I've been biohacking. Instead of doing Duolingo, I've been trying to hit my head in exactly the right way to learn different languages.
Nice. Smart.
Yeah. So far it hasn't worked, but you know, it only takes one bonk and then I'm set.
Nice.
Richard returns with Hurley, having decided on a course of action. Knowing that the plane on Hydra Island is the only means for the Man in Black to escape, he intends to destroy it. So I get someone says at some point like, "Hey, Smokey, why don't you just turn into the smoke monster and get off the island?" He's like, "If I could do that, wouldn't you think I would have already done that?" So apparently he can't do that over the water. Maybe there are limits to it. And so the plane is the only way for him to leave. Is what I'm saying.
Smoke on the water. Do something with that, folks.
Smoke not on the water.
Smoke not on the water.
Smoke on the water's edge, looking longingly out at the horizon. Sun is opposed to this idea because she is only there to get Jin and trying to get out of there. She's not here for this destiny, it's our purpose nonsense, as she tells Jack. But then Jack Shepard convinces her that they will find Jin and use the plane to get everyone home. He displays some rarely seen good bedside manner with Sun, with her head injury, and sensitively comes up with a way for her to communicate. And Leftovers watchers will appreciate the guilty remnant notebook that Sun uses to write sentences down and show people what she's thinking. Meanwhile, the Man in Black reveals to Claire that he needs to gather all the remaining candidates or he will be unable to leave the island. He says something along the lines that, like, all the candidates need to go together. And this feels like one of those villain wordplay situations. Like, I'd love to have you all for dinner.
Yeah.
We all need to go together. Or, like, all the candidates need to go together.
To the bathroom.
Go to hell.
Go, yeah.
Go to death. Go to away. Go away together. Something like that. Before leaving to retrieve Sun, the man in black speaks with Saeed, who reveals he no longer feels any sort of emotion. And like you said last episode, Saeed is totally black-pilled at this point. He's numb.
But Bashalak is like, sounds good. Sounds, might want to keep that up for a while. You're going to need it.
He does. Yeah. Sounds like it might be helpful for what's coming.
Nice. Can you imagine going to your therapist and they're like, yo, that shit's crazy, but you're going to want to keep that up. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening next. You're going to want to keep up the anxiety, the depression, whatever you're dealing with right now.
Kind of helpful.
It's kind of helpful.
Maybe you have it for a reason, big dog.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe it's helping you adapt and thrive.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
At least survive.
It's a long term. I'm imagining like one of the, I was imagining more like your therapist as a QAnon person doing the little eating popcorn. If you like that last part, you're going to love what happens next.
It's just, or my therapist is orchestrating a gang stalking operation to get me, driving me crazy. Yeah. When the man in black leaves, the camp is attacked by the team hired by Charles Widmore. We see some like footage early on in the episode of like surveillance, night vision, camp activity. The operators tranquilize the group and take Jin to the Hydra Island.
Okay, since you said the word, I gotta say, these guys, not operators.
Dude,
I was not operators. How did Charles Widmore?
They managed to kidnap Jin, but like everything else, this is a piss poor operation, dude.
I mean, he must have wasted all of his money on the sunken airplane trick, because he's got like randos off the street as his need to be tier 1 operators for the on land mission.
Like, he's presented as somebody with like essentially unlimited resources, or that's the impression that we get.
Yeah.
And like to some extent, I guess that like, if somebody just like shows up and accomplishes their goal right away, that doesn't make for very compelling television. So you're gonna have to have like some tension with just like, so I don't know, with something showing up somewhere. But it really seems like I've noticed it. Man, yeah, there's some. Well, it's especially evident in the next episode. With how
all the people
unorganized they are.
All of the operations.
The whole Kimi situation.
Well, Kimi's nearing
he was the only one.
Top, yeah, but like, all the weirdos from the past. It's basically like Oppenheimer, the real life thing. What if you're like, U.S. government, we're gonna save some money. We're gonna get all these scientists in a room to develop an atomic bomb, and then also they're gonna double later on as like the boots on the ground. You got all
just hire one person for 2 jobs. Yeah,
Bobby Oppenheimer and whoever Benny Safdie was in that movie to go out and storm Normandy or something.
Yeah. Dude, just yesterday I talked to a guy who was dropping bombs on Nazis.
A real life
guy.
Was he like a 16-year-old?
No, he was actually quite elderly, Ben. He was
How old was he when he was pushing the
I know
bomb button,
I
though?
know Nazis are back in a big way, but um no, he's 102.
Oh, okay. Wait, so okay, yeah.
I think he joined when he
Interesting.
was 19.
Okay.
Actually.
Sue's young.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a
And
lot. I mean, they all were. You know, we are nearing the age where I think, or maybe we're at the age
we can't be
we
drafted.
can't be it anymore. Yeah, drafted. Which means we can turn into Warhawks as soon as we pass that number.
I mean, I've been pretty skeptical of my ability to pass the physical fitness like test for a while anyway. Like, not just that you have to be under 30 or 35 or whatever. You also have to like climb ropes. And I'm like, I can't climb ropes. You kidding me?
I'm partaking in some risky behavior because I've been trying to get a lot healthier over the last, year, 2 years, whatever, doing all exercise and
congratulations, Ben.
stuff
You've been selected to head to war.
Yeah, I need to keep it up until I pass whatever the magic number is, when I can then again flip sides, become a war hawk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need a draft yesterday. Well, we need a draft 2 days after. We needed a draft yesterday, folks. People are getting lazy.
I've been letting myself go as actually elite self-defense or as self-preservation.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I need to reconsider.
Mm-hmm. But it was funny too that the 102-year-old like World War II guy who was like bombing Nazis, also like big MAGA guy as well. I thought you were fighting those guys, man. The hell?
You were just like in this
complicated
voice,
fella.
in this same voice, you said to him, "Shut your old ass up."
Get out of here, cracker. Yeah.
Get out of here, old man.
Yeah. Anyway, Jin awakens inside room 23 on the submarine. Ooh. And Zoe shows him a grid map the Dharma Initiative used to identify pockets of electromagnetism. Knowing that Jin was once a member of Dharma, Zoe asks Jin for his help. However, Jin demands to see Widmore. Yeah, and I guess I'll agree with the general consensus. Zoe, not the best character, not my favorite character, not my favorite performance.
Kind of a knockoff Tina Fey look.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Tina Fey at first, but I think I did say like, "Hey, it's Tina Fey." Yeah, when she first showed up.
Yeah, I think if I was Widmore, does he know that Jin speaks English yet? I feel like I'd be distracted from my Widmore goals for a minute, but whoa, what is this? Congratulations, dude. You picked this up? I guess you've been on the island for 30 years or whatever, but not 30 years, but a bunch of years. But nice. Wasn't expecting that.
That's probably more racist to just assume that he doesn't speak English, right?
No, but Widmore knows who he is.
Sure. Okay.
And he's just a Korean guy who doesn't speak English. And then he's meeting him for the first time. He's like, whoa.
Hello, Jin.
Well, he doesn't acknowledge it.
My name is me Widmore.
I don't think I'm.
What if I was racist? Yeah.
I don't think I'm that off base with this.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Widmore doesn't know that he speaks English.
He conceals it well, or maybe he does somehow. Did they? Because they did. Did Jin interact with young Widmore? Was he part of the like party that like captured them in the forest that one time?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
So the reason that Widmore knows Jin is just because he's researched these guys and knows about them.
Well, he knew about everybody on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah, but not because he's like personally met them yet. Not.
Well, some of them he has, but yes, I think he hasn't met. I think this is his first time meeting Jin, but I might be wrong. You might be right about the distant past thing.
And at that point, he wouldn't have spoken English either. So I'm not trying to like bring this up to contradict you. I'm just trying to remember what the timeline was. And it's inconclusive. Again, the guys who have the podcast about the show Lost, not good at remembering what happened in the show that they're talking about. The Man in Black and Saeed take a boat to Hydra Island to confront Widmore. When Widmore denies having taken Jin, the Man in Black warns him that war has come to the island and returns to his camp. So Widmore and the Man in Black probably haven't interacted before, but like Widmore has been like a work. He used to work for Jacob. That's I think that was about against. He's been working contra the Man in Black's interest this whole time, but I don't know if they've ever had a face-to-face. Saeed is left behind. What do you think of that scene on the beach there? Like Bosch Locke is standing there on the beach, talking through the pylons that they've set up to protect themselves.
I think I was mostly distracted just thinking about the pylons specifically.
It's effective. It's cool.
How'd they get them up so fast?
I'm not sure how long they've been there, though, is the thing. Because, like, it seems like they've... Well, actually, no, we saw the submarine arrive.
Yeah. But can't they walk around? Can he walk around? How fast do they put him up that he can't walk around it? Didn't understand that.
All that stuff show up on the submarine? I guess we don't know how big the submarine is. Ooh, you see Final Reckoning?
Stops. Did you get... No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
But...
Cool submarine sequence in that.
Did you guys bring this on the submarine? I know we got other fighting to do, but how'd you guys get this shit here?
I'm just curious from like a logistic perspective.
I'm just really curious, yeah.
Mm.
No,
it seems like they were able to do airdrops with the Dharma Initiative for decades. Why were they able to do that, by the way? If they're not able to find the island, how come they could get the supply drops? Wait, they were able to find the island because they were able to travel by submarine. Why can't they find the island? Did it became... I'm like missing the whole premise of it.
We're going so far backwards.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
Why can't they find
they like
the
crashed a plane or something? Like what the fuck? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they find the island?
Actually, I am a little, but they could do this. Yeah, actually, I am confused about how the supply drops worked now. I don't know, actually.
They were able to do bring new recruits to the island this whole time. And was that was the island just lost? Okay. Is it only because you have to know where it is to be able to get there? You can't just stumble across it? For some reason?
Yeah. That's true.
You have to know exact coordinates because they're like mapping it with the like Eloise has her pendulum.
Yeah, I guess that part is true. I guess yes. We really are. We're gonna if we try to talk through this, we're gonna talk ourselves out of understanding anything about the show because we've just forgotten.
Grasping at the basic like facts of what we're watching here.
Yes. So this is a non-problem. Yes, it does make sense. They did know where it was.
Yeah. And so I think from my research, this show is actually 24 single frame, still images projected per second that form the illusion of movement over time. This is so. I think that's what's going on here. Saeed is left behind. They're reading made up lines that somebody has written for them. They're pretending. Saeed is left behind to spy on the Widmores. Angry about what do we call them? Because they're not others. And the Widmorons.
The Widmores.
Okay. Angry about the fact that Zoe has taken Jin ahead of schedule, rather. Widmore orders her to bring the, quote, package from the submarine. Widmore gives Sun's digital camera to Jin, which has photos of their daughter, Ji-Yun. Widmore explains that he has come to the island to stop the man in black from escaping. He says then that Jin needs to meet the package, a person that they brought to the island. He's like, you need to meet the package, or go see the package. And Jin's like, all right, what's the package? And he's like, it's not a what, it's a who.
It's a who.
Like, why'd you say it like that then? Spying on Widmore's team in the water, Sayid witnesses a drugged Desmond Hume being dragged out of the submarine. So I guess, like, we're led to... I don't know, how do you feel about Widmore's mission here? Are you cheering for Widmore? I feel like I'm kind of, like, a little bit rooting for his...
Coming around, yeah.
For him.
I don't know if I'm not rooting for him, but I'm like, I gotta be an objective observer here. I gotta,
Thing is,
let's see this guy. Let's hear him out. Let's see what he's doing.
It seems like the Man in Black does need to be stopped and stopped from escaping.
Yep.
I'll say that. All that said, though, I'm gonna give this episode a 3. Bit underwhelming. I assume we'll get more Sun and Jin. Like, we have to see the reunion. They got to reunite. Hopefully that happens. And maybe that'll be the payoff. But yeah, kind of middle of the road for me.
This is a 4 for me. I like this. I like it a lot.
You like that one scene in the hotel? That's for good.
Yeah. When they're checking in. And I'm like, wow, this is so nice. This is so cool.
Ooh, yes. So typing in their information.
I like that guy that's working at the counter.
This episode of Lost on Ice is brought to you by us. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, telling a friend about the show. Also, check out patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton for more content. Then let's talk about Season 6, Episode 11, called Happily Ever After, the Desmond episode. This aired April 6th, 2010. It was directed by Jack Bender and written by Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. So kind of like the biggest 3 names currently at the time.
Yep.
Making it. My internet was out all day yesterday, so we watched this episode on a standard definition DVD. Thank God for physical media.
Nice.
2007, the original timeline. After being shot by Ben Linus, Desmond Hume awakens to discover that Charles Widmore has brought him back to the island. The island! That's literally the last place I want to be. You've got to be kidding me. He's like all twitchy when Widmore's explaining to him that they're at the island.
Have you been practicing? Have you been practicing your accent?
No, but I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay, yeah.
It's just fat bastard, but...
I know. I wondered if you had that one on DVD or something yesterday too, and that's how you were getting through it.
We put on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because we have that on Blu-ray. We haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Seems like a movie that could do with a Scottish guy.
This is my Clint Eastwood.
Fat bastard character. Yeah.
You give me my $2,000.
It would be a very good drop-in replacement for the other guy, third guy. I can't think. The ugly guy.
The sidekick guy, or Tuco.
Tuco,
not the villain guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just always breaks the rope like without it needing to be shot every time. See what else? Instead of like the cannon blowing up the floor, he just falls through the floor. Yeah, this would be great.
Yeah.
He meets his priest brother, who's also a fat bastard.
Yes,
He's also Magma.
Yes. Mike Myers doing both characters. Yeah.
Yes. What about mother and father? You don't remember? You ate them.
Folks, if you like Lost,
you're going to love the good, the fat, and the ugly. All right. A fistful of corn dogs.
There you go. That's the better one. That's the best one.
Music by Eniko Morris Snowcone. Thanks. It's a spaghetti western. All right. Desmond attacks Charles. What are we talking about? Okay. The Scottish guy, yes. Desmond attacks Charles, who with the IV stand. He like flips out at him. And after Charles says, the island is not done with you yet, but unless Desmond helps him, everyone he loves will be gone forever. He has his team prepare an electromagnetic test, which kills a team member in the path of the toroids as they set up. We're putting you in the machine, Desmond. Have fun in the contraption. He's Liam Neeson now, I guess. I don't know. But, so this is a great time to talk about what we talked about earlier. What kind of Mickey Mouse operation is Widmore running here, man? You're just pulling levers while your coworker is in the contraption? Nobody has a safety checklist?
It's got 3 levers, too, that Widmore eventually pulls with his forearm, all 3 at once.
I noticed that as they're like preparing it, they crank up the machine to maximum Gauss. It's kind of a fun. I like the little dials, nice. Set design there. But yeah, I can't emphasize it enough, like how like haphazard and like slipshod and other compound words this whole like Widmore initiative is, man. Like, they're like, hey, something's going on with it, and like they just all immediately like split to scurry and like work on it independently, and then like one guy just starts like pulling it, like, hey, I figured it out, and then like zaps the guy that's in there. Crazy. There's no like precautions or anything about this.
And then they drag. I mean, you were doing Liam Neeson voice. I mean, you're doing the Jigsaw voice from Saw, because they basically drag him into like a saw trap in there. And explanation is kind of the same thing, where it's like Desmond, you've taken for granted your life for the past 3 years. Let's see if you can survive this electromagnetic shock or whatever, and appreciate your life. You've been nothing but
kind to my daughter, and you have a loving son, and you don't want anything to do with this, and for your sins you will pay.
I like the voice. Batman, Irish guy, Neeson, or Scottish guy, and Jigsaw all at once.
Once you start Fat Bastard, it's hard to like get too far away from it, so you're just gonna have to go with me here on it. Desmond is easily demolishes the wooden chair that he's tied to. Yes. Like instantly, he hulks out. And
but he can't hulk through. He can't hulk his way through what appears to be a wooden door. Yeah. It seems easier. You know.
Yeah. I think Dr. Manhattan his ass, dude.
But they also do this thing where, like, you know, he's pushing up against the door, which is kind of too far out of. It's like a ways from
out of the stream,
the electric stream. And then it's just like, you know, like 3, 2, 1. And as it's like getting to 2, 1, he like dances his way back into the middle so that he can
back into it.
Fully zapped. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to get zapped, you're probably going to want to get fully zapped, right?
Probably want to get fully zapped, yeah. Otherwise, you'll end up with a crappy superhero.
You'll get half zapped.
Yeah.
You walk around half zapped. Yeah. And so here is where I'm going to dice up the Wikipedia article to follow more closely with the narrative of the episode. So he gets Dr. Manhattan zapped to 2004 into the Flash Sideways timeline. Desmond arrives in Los Angeles on the orders of his employer, Charles Widmore. He's working for Chuck. What the heck? After helping the heavily pregnant Claire Littleton at the airport get her luggage,
Heavily.
Heavily.
Heavily pregnant.
Yeah, maybe that's
Officer,
not the right word,
I saw a pregnant woman walk by. What kind of pregnant woman?
Do you have an adjective?
Heavily pregnant.
Right, got it. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, he's like, they have like a very. We have we have plenty of insane interactions in season 6 of Lost. And this isn't like quite the level of like what we get later in the episode, but the Desmond Claire luggage carousel conversation is odd. But like they're both very charismatic actors, and so they're able to like play it off. They give Desmond some crazy lines through this show that he's always manages to pull off. But he's the one especially is like at the end of it, he's like, "I've got a car. Do you need a ride?" Cause like, "Oh no, I'm good." And Desmond was like, "It's a boy."
As she's already like 15 feet away from her.
"Oh, well,
it's a boy.
Tell me, I've got a feeling it's a boy." Yeah. Anyway, okay, so after helping the heavily pregnant Claire Littleton get her luggage, Desmond goes to Charles's office. They're boys. Actually, but this isn't in the Wikipedia article, but we have to talk about it. How does he get to Widmore's office? He's driven. And who's his driver? He's got a chauffeur. But one George Minkowski, the doctor on the ship that died earlier.
Yep.
But he like picks up this guy who like, it doesn't seem like they know each other. Yeah, they don't know each other because he has the sign. He's got the sign for Hume. And within 60 seconds of meeting him and just knowing that like here's like my boss. I'm like need to drive and like an important guy at my job to like meet the other important guy. He's like, "If you need any escorts, please let me know."
Well, he says it in an even more weird way. He's like, "Do you need any companionship?" And Desmond's like, "What?" And then he's like, "I noticed you don't have a wedding band on, so you're not married. So I thought maybe you'd like some escorts."
Yes.
Okay. Very weird,
maybe,
my dude.
Very weird. And Desmond's like, "No, well, no escorts for me, George.
I'm here to work.
I'm here to work." But yeah, he's there to meet Charles Widmore, and they're boys. They drink McCutcheon together.
Yep.
We of course remember the scene where original timeline Widmore rather like poured out like the whole bottle of McCutcheon in front of him. He's like, "You're nothing to me, son." I don't know why he's just gonna be William Neeson to me. That doesn't actually happen anyway. But he's like, there was the whole thing like you're not worth the McCutcheon.
Yeah.
Charles informs Desmond that his son Daniel is a classical musician and has invited the rock band Drive Shaft to perform with him that evening. Real fan service going on here, I think. We get some old favorites. The band's bass guitarist, Charlie Pace, has been arrested for possession of drugs, and Charles requests Desmond to collect and deliver him to Daniel's event. Upon their meeting, Charlie tells Desmond that he recently almost died after swallowing a bag of heroin, and in his near-death experience, he had a vision in which he was with a blonde woman.
Does not describe whether or not she's a heavily pregnant blonde woman.
Doesn't say so.
Des, I'm telling you, man, she was pregnant, but I'm telling you, she was
heavily pregnant.
Heavily.
I saw her too, mate. Brother. I guess so. Okay, I've been thinking more and more about this, which is not something you need to be thinking. Why? So in the original timeline, Charlie flushed the heroin, right? Or like that's what he was trying for.
Yep.
And then in this timeline, he eats it. something causes an oral fixation for him, and third year the bomb but like why does he so I guess because he was gonna, so in the original timeline that Charlie was quitting it altogether, right? Or that's what he was trying to do. Yeah. And this one he was just like, okay, they're gonna catch me, so I'm gonna swallow it so I can still have it later. I don't want to get rid of it. I just don't want to be caught with it. Yeah. Is that what we should be taking from the two different Charlies?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Because Desmond doesn't listen to him at the bar, Charlie causes Desmond to crash, or in the bar, he causes him to crash into a marina. Very funny scene.
Very funny, yeah. Desmond really, gotta say, kind of agree with Widmore a little bit later on. Desmond kind of messed that one up.
Bunged this up. He like mashes the gas pedal when Charlie like yanks the wheel, and so Desmond responds by like, "All right, better give this guy all."
Classic TB character misstep. You will never catch me doing that in real life.
Somebody someone grabs the wheel. Probably
brake.
Not hitting the accelerator. I'm probably hitting the brake.
Probably hitting the brake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Turning off the car.
Maybe you'll just accelerator down.
I would simply wrest control of the vehicle back from my unruly passenger.
Well, maybe you could do a little, rehearsal, Captain All Ears type situation. Let you say your controls.
Yes. That did happen to me in my car in high school one time though. It wasn't a passenger, it was a rogue throttle that I was accelerating up a hill, and then I crested the hill and it stuck open fully. And so it was as if I was mashing the gas down all the way. But yeah, I just
what'd you do?
Pressed the brake, and it didn't stop the car because you're still going, full speed. And so I just turned the car off, and then that stopped the car.
Interesting.
But then I couldn't start it up again without it being maximum throttle. So I was stuck. But at least it didn't crash.
Wait, so you turned the car off while it
was moving. While it was moving in drive. Yeah.
And then did you still press down on the brake to make it stop faster?
Yes.
Or did it roll to a stop? Okay.
No, I was heading down a hill, so I had to do that, and then towards a four-way intersection. But I
whoa! You should have done one of those little spin move things to stop, where you do 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So that you're.
I was thinking about doing the transporter thing, where I just get up on two wheels, the side two wheels, and still get T-boned in the intersection. But at least I look cool.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I'm just saying, I've got the skills that Desmond does not have. You will not catch me crashing into the marina.
I once accidentally turned off the car while driving 70 on the interstate when I was about 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of. I just kind of like got up to merged onto the interstate, kind of got up to speed, and I'm like, I think mentally was like, everything's going great. Turn it off.
Damn.
Grinded.
Jesus.
Really?
Were you in I
actually
driver's ed, or were you just by yourself?
I was by myself. I think I had a passenger. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I just turned it back on.
While you were moving?
While I was moving. Also probably not smart, but it worked.
The rolling start. The rolling stop. The rolling stop and start.
Start and stop, yeah.
All right. So in the water, after the car crashed, Desmond attempts to rescue Charlie from the water and experiences a vision of Charlie drowning with the words, "Not Penny's boat," written on his hand. The two are taken to a hospital where Desmond has a series of visions of a stranger named Penny during an MRI test.
Yeah. Very fast, fast visions, but yeah. And then he becomes obsessed. Got to figure out who is Penny, which I have to say, even though I know why. Like, I understand what's going on. I don't know that it's portrayed very well on screen, because I think if you didn't know everything that was going on, you might just be like, yeah, I guess this guy's really obsessed. He's got to find Penny to just let her know. Like, he's going to run up to her, like, huffing and puffing and be, Penny, Penny, yeah, I'm Penny. That is not your boat. That's somebody else's boat.
Yeah. So at some point there's going to be a boat and it ain't going to be yours, huh? Yeah. I think that, like when we got the flashes of the Not Penny's boat, like in the water there, I initially rolled my eyes. I'm like, yeah, we remember, dude. But then, they're diegetic flashes.
Yeah.
It's the character experiencing that, which I should have expected because it's Desmond and that's what he does. And that makes it a lot more interesting and compelling to me. And it also makes like the rest of the episode from here on where he starts like, following that instinct or following that trail. He must have been like, those flashes weren't just like a weird hallucination or a weird vision that he was getting. It was like he was shifted into another timeline and like kind of knew it too. Like it had a much stronger hold than than the language of TV can kind of like easily communicate. And so like I'm kind of learning from his reaction how strong those like flashes must have been, which is kind of an interesting the way of structuring the episode. I thought the MRI being a high amount of electromagnetic radiation, another like kind of fun thing. We got to get him into a hospital. We got to get him into an MRI machine. There were hilarious wide angle shots of Desmond's face while he's in the MRI. They had the camera like an inch away from his face, super fisheye. You ever have an MRI?
No, don't think so.
I had one when I was a kid, and I was like 12, and they asked me what music to play because you're in there for like 30
Shelly
minutes.
told me
that they said.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want them to play music at all.
Yeah.
But that wasn't presented as an option. They said like what kind of music, and I like just stalled out, and so they just put like the radio on, and that was by far the worst part of the experience. Like I much would have like it made it way more stressful. Not that I hate the radio. I would never let the radio choose what I listen to. It was just like that was I don't know, something with like that ambient noise. Just let me listen to the machine, man. That'll be way more peaceful for me. This is cacophonous. Anyway,
Shelly told me she had one, I think, in the last year or so, and she had a similar. She mostly remembered the music situation too, and struggling to answer what she wanted to listen to.
Who can answer that?
Would the MRI tech not want to listen to the same music? If I say K-pop, maybe they'll think I'm crazy. Will they be annoyed that they have to run an MRI listening to K-pop for 60 minutes or whatever?
I just don't understand why you would want to listen to music at all during that.
Don't know. Haven't had one. But I'm going to come up with like some crazy thing if I ever do one, though. I will be listening to music if I do it.
Have something ready, I guess.
I need you to play the hamster dance on repeat.
Repeat one, please. Swallowing a bunch of ball bearings and telling them to turn on the hamster dance. We're all going out. After discharging himself from the hospital, Desmond apologizes to Charles's wife, Eloise Widmore, for being unable to ensure the attendance of Drive Shaft at the party that night. Nearby employees are discussing the guest list for Daniel's concert, and Desmond hears the name Penny mentioned. Eloise refuses to let him see the list, though, and warns him off of pursuing his inquiries. Very cool, I think, that Eloise seems to know what's going on. That's a neat wrinkle. Like, we've seen we've seen this happen before. She always seems to know more. And she's appeared in Desmond's flashes before as kind of like a wise
lady,
meta knower. I don't know. Seems to be aware of what's going on. As Desmond prepares to leave, a silhouette stalks him. And the reveal that it's Daniel is so funny. He is stopped by Daniel, who tells him that he recently saw a red-haired woman in a local museum that he strongly felt he already knew and loved. But anyway, so they have Daniel wear the "I think you should leave" hat, as a way of like so you don't recognize that it's gonna be him or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's such a stupid hat.
Yeah.
I saw Friendship this week too, by the way. You see that one yet?
No, I haven't been to the theater. I've been
check out the cinema.
Stuck at home.
Okay.
Gotta get back there, yeah.
Highly recommend Friendship. All right. But Daniel puts he's been saving up his whispers and puts on one hell of a performance here. He states that after the encounter, he made a series of notes in his journal, which a mathematician friend has identified as advanced quantum mechanics, a topic he knows nothing about. So this is the most insane conversation that happens in the show. But yeah, Daniel's like, I'm a musician. I don't know about math. And I asked my math whiz friend, and he said, wow, man, you're really smart. Very cool. And so it's gotta be true. Like, he was clearly getting like blown off by his nerd friend. Like if you came to me, Ben, and you were like, I've solved it. Time travel. Check out these equations. Be like, oh yeah, very cool. Nice. That's like exactly what happens to Daniel. He's like, it's proof, man. It's happening. And it's like working on Desmond too. I mean, that's Lost in magic for you. I don't mean this as a criticism, because that's the magic of Lost. It serves up some of the most insane two people conversations of all time. Like Daniel saying this to a complete stranger, and it's like the total opposite of how Jack was, in the face of overwhelming evidence, screaming for several seasons that like, this is just a normal island, nothing weird has happened to us at all. This is all very normal. So I think it's like on purpose, but it was just it's a very something you can only get away with in like the 6th season of like a crazy show like this, where like if you were out on Lost, you would have been out long ago, and if you're on for Lost, hang on. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
He shows his notes, which contain a graph with imaginary time on one axis and hypotheses that the world as he and Desmond are experiencing is not their correct path, and something like a nuclear explosion has altered their realities. Desmond questions Daniel as to whether he intends to set off a nuclear bomb, to which Daniel replies that he believes he already has. Desmond just rolls with it, man. Yeah. Cool. All right. You get out of here.
Did you say you're Penny's brother?
Daniel tells Desmond that Penny is his half-sister and tells him where he can find her. Desmond locates Penny running the steps of an athletics stadium and introduces himself.
Oh, stranger, you want to know where my sister is? Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
After shaking Penny's hand, Desmond passes out. When he awakens, he asks Penny out for a coffee, an invitation, which she accepts. And this was always my move when I was dating, by the way. I would interrupt women while they were exercising and then instantly faint. Henry Ian Cusick is more successful than I ever was, but I would recommend listeners try it out for themselves.
It probably does work. I think it's one thing in Lost that might work.
Like
fainting.
Hi, excuse me. Like stop. Like hitting the emergency stop on the treadmill and bringing them to a halt, and then just like losing consciousness.
I think it would work. I think I think people like to have people like to have this kind of. People like to have a story, you know. And that is a good story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, shook my hand and he fell. You know, she already came up with a good line, the lifelong line of I took his breath away or whatever. I forget what she said exactly.
I guess that's true. Yeah. So this is I must have been doing something else wrong because that was always my tactic. And yeah, I don't know. I guess walking up to people and just falling over wasn't necessarily the way to do it. We'd always do it at the top of stairs too. So we'd always have like he fell head over heels.
Yeah. Why wasn't he at the bottom of the stairs?
Over heels, overhead, over heels, overhead, over heels, in love with me.
Shouldn't he have fallen all the way down to the bottom?
They were at the bottom already.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah.
Tricked again.
It would have been fun to like cut in the John Wick down all the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So as his driver, George Minkowski, takes him to their meeting point, Desmond asks him to acquire the flight manifest for Oceanic Flight 815, the flight which brought him to Los Angeles.
Hey, driver. Hey, just regular driver. Could you get me a flight manifest?
Of course. So funny, dude. Yeah. Because he's like, does this car have alcohol in it? And George is like, yeah, man, it's got alcohol. It's like a limo. He's like, let me know if you need anything else. Desmond's like, there is one thing, brother. Can you get me the manifest for Oceanic Flight 815? I'll just need to show them something. And George is like, absolutely. Like, for sure, dude. Like, I basically already have it. And so now we flash to 2007. After Desmond survives that test, he agrees to help Charles. As Charles's team leads him away, they are ambushed by Saeed. Takes Desmond away with him. So this is, I would say, the weirdest episode we've had in a long time, but I really dig it. I'm going to give this a 4.
I'm giving this one a 5. I love this because it plays into my, you know this about me, my thing, my one thing. It sounds stupid. I've been thinking about how to say this all day because this is like what Lost is about. But Desmond is the alternate timeline guy in my mind in this show, right? I mean, obviously, everybody's kind of going through it now, or we're all seeing it.
Well, he's been that.
But he has been that. He has seen things happen and not happen because of decisions in the past and whatever. And that's my thing I don't like. Well, I find very interesting, but the thing that makes me very sad, you know. So it really, this one really clicks for me. This is a 5.
Doing it. Yeah, it's doing. Like Lost at its best is making. It's taking pieces of different like sci-fi type things in mythology, but like it's putting them together in this like novel way. I would like he's actually experiencing the different timelines and what that does to a character to know like the kind of love that he's missing and whatever. That's great. That's Lost storytelling, baby. Right there.
Yeah.
That's all for the show today. If you like it, want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon over on patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Every week, Ben and I release a bonus hangout show and get into the stuff that we just can't talk about on the main feed. I'm going to give reviews of Mission Impossible and Friendship over there this week, right into the show at drskeletonsartschool@gmail.com. Comment down below. What's your favorite Desmond episode? I mean, I guess The Constant is probably everyone's number one, but if you have an argument
it's not for
any
me.
Other?
This is mine.
This is your number one?
This is my favorite Desmond episode, yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. Next week, we are watching Lost Season 6, episodes 12 and 13. Thanks for listening.